Okay. I know you've read or heard about that game, movie, or comic, blah, blah, but you haven't heard it from us. So chill, relax, let us talk all about it before you log off.
Sesame Street? Oh, man.
No, I mean, the guy who does Elmo, like, was obsessed over Jim Henson. Like, I don't know.
The black guy?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The big black dude.
Yeah,
It's
it was just weird,
it has
right?
he's been making puppets since he was like 10.
No, but the thing that I wanted to bring up, because we didn't even bring up the whole show, well, a little bit of the show, was the fact that you and Rachel are very big Lord of the Rings fans.
Oh, God. Why are we doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Steven doesn't like Lord of the Rings.
I don't think he's actually seen it. I feel like
He hasn't seen it correctly.
no. I
Doesn't
honestly
seem
feel like
like
he
I
just
mean,
hasn't straight
okay,
up
but
seen
am I
it.
supposed to watch it with my butt and
Well,
not my
here's-
eyes? What is happening here?
So
I think his glasses were off.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. So Rachel, and I don't know if you've seen the extended edition. You know,
I own them. Yes.
Oh,
excuse
yes,
me.
that's
Okay,
just
never
a
mind, never
longer
mind. Why would I
waste
even
of time.
ask?
Wait.
Why would I even ask?
If you don't like long movies, you don't like television. I'm sorry.
What?
It has more. It's more lore. It's more things for you to.
But not in one sitting, I believe.
That's the dumbest thing. I can play.
No,
Wait,
Have you
so
ever
are you saying you don't like Endgame? Because that was
No,
That's pretty
I'm
long.
saying that
Don't-
people
don't-
should.
we know
Sorry.
my stance on Endgame.
I don't
But-
know your stance. Enlighten me.
I thought you listened to the show.
That's a call out. I'm sorry.
Terrible. But
I
anyway,
didn't listen to the Endgame one.
you like The Hobbit.
I did enjoy The Hobbit's correct.
Yes.
I actually didn't mind The Hobbit either.
And Rachel,
Everything went quiet.
what do you mean everything went quiet?
Can you hear?
Rachel, can you hear me?
I don't know, you were I
Fasha,
can hear you now.
fasha.
But Aaron, it sounded like you were like in the middle of a sentence and then you stopped.
Oh. I said you. I said.
Did you enjoy The Hobbit?
Did you enjoy The Hobbit? Yeah.
The
I like the first one because that one was like really close to like the book. They tried to add in all the Sumerian stuff and then wrote in their own fucking like love triangle, which was really dumb.
I do agree that it was totally out of place. But that,
Yeah, like,
that didn't ruin the series for me.
Gave
That
it more
didn't-
flavor, I thought.
It didn't need a love story.
Gave it
I, mean,
more
I
I
feel
never
like
watched
feel
them.
like you got enough of that.
I mean,
with
but
Arwen.
then there's the hard questions. What would an elf and a dwarf look like?
Ooh.
Okay,
Think about it.
A
What
human?
would
look
they
like?
look like?
I think she's right. I think a human would be.
Would it be a tall elf or a tall dwarf or a short elf? Ooh, look at that.
Huh?
terrible.
See, these are the questions
These
that
are the
need
questions
to
that
be
need answers.
answered.
You would get a Numenorian.
The most intriguing thing in that whole series.
Or is that where humans did come from?
elves
Oh,
banging,
we may never know on
Yeah,
screen.
I'm just saying.
banging dwarves.
No, I liked it for what it was, but I didn't. It didn't
Yeah.
add anything to the movies for me. It didn't make the movie better. It's just like, all right, we got some time to fill here. Cool.
Well, the thing that I
Yeah.
really wanted, because in this country, we never have discussions about disagreements. We always just have disagreements, and that person's the enemy. Steven is not your enemy, Rachel, just because he
Oh, I
dislikes Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
But the question is, why do you not like Lord of the Rings?
Oh, you're asking me.
You're the only person
That'd be a
that's
strange question to ask.
Adam, why don't
Rachel,
you like?
why don't you like Lord of the Rings?
I just feel like it's overhyped and like it builds something up and then just kind of falls flat.
So,
Like it's
you're saying people talked it up, you watched it, and it didn't live up to the hype.
just not.
You
Yeah,
watch Avatar.
over three movies
Wait,
and then
hold on.
disappoints.
Which Avatar are we talking about?
But how did
The
how
one
did
that made the
it
billions
disappoint?
of.
Like it was just boring. It was just like I expected. Like so the best example would be
I
like
feel like we didn't watch the
number
same movie.
2. You know how there's like a big giant battle scene and
Helm's Deep.
Helm's Deep.
Oh, excuse me.
the most
If both of
famous
them-
Fucking offended him.
I'm
You mean Helm's Deep? Get it correct.
I'm sorry, but all the like the end game right now and the Game of Thrones, all their scenes are being compared. They're to Helm's Deep.
I
I thought just by
understand.
length.
That's how big that.
I thought they were just talking about by length, like how much time.
Ooh, they're talking about
time and how well it was shot.
how well it
and-
was shot,
Because to me, Helm's Deep wasn't the best fight.
and that's why you're not in the same
Terrible
conversation as.
No.
angry.
The best fight, hands down, Lord of the Rings 1, Fellowship of the Rings.
Fields of Pelennor.
Where fucking
Aragorn.
Ned Stark gets the arrows to the chest.
That
Oh, you mean when they were fighting the Urukai?
that is hands down the best fight scene.
And I waited 5 hours just to see 20
Well,
minutes.
see, difference was like I wasn't invested in the movie before, so I didn't know nothing about the books or anything like that. So when I watched Fellowship of the Ring for the first time, it just like it awed me because I was like, I like this world.
I think I missed that real quick. You're saying you saw all 3 films.
I've seen all 3 films, yes.
And you're saying the best fight scene in any film was when
Hells yeah.
the Raierae tried to go get
Hells yeah. You know why?
in the first one.
Yeah. You know why?
I'm devastated right now.
The reason why
Good
I liked
scene,
it because
but-
first of
That
all, in war, any war.
The Oliphants? You didn't like the Oliphants?
Can I explain? In any war epic, when you have a giant battle
Can I
and a
finish?
whole bunch of characters, it takes the intimacy out of that unless you only have like 3 characters that you try to focus on. But they don't. They have a lot of different characters to try to focus on. So it was very more intimate when you just had Legolas, Aragorn, Arrow Holder, what's his name? Boromir.
That was funny.
Sean
That was
B.
good.
and
Dies in everything he's in.
and Gimli.
It's true.
So that's it. You had the 5 that are really
Yeah.
doing stuff, right?
I mean,
so
that's
you got
Frodo and Sam.
so,
Sam
okay,
was
let's,
around.
You know,
let's stop
they
that.
made
Let's
maybe
stop
one
that.
person.
They were running, so you got to focus in on that fight, right? Freaking Vigo in the beginning, the slow motion shot of him fighting an entire like army.
4 people?
Did you watch the same thing?
Yes, I did.
Because
watch
whenever
the
I
same
saw that,
Yeah.
for the first time, I was like, okay, so this is the part of the movie where these guys die. Because like,
You guys should have had me watch these movies before we did this.
because I'm like
Again, watch the movies again.
he's
Excuse me.
he's fighting way outnumbered, big time. And I was like, he's about to just run in and sacrifice himself. He's gonna die. But then you see Legolas come through, and it's the first time
His
you
boys
see
came to back him
you
up.
see those cool shots like that they replicated in the second one and even in the third one with him like stabbing people, pulling it out of their eyes, shooting people, really quick shots multiple times with Legolas.
Yes,
like
Legolas is a badass.
okay, so
Yeah.
they clearly got those, and you see those same exact type of moves in the rest of these films. They did them over because they know the height of it was that first one when they had that nice scene, and then you showed the individual skills of what they can do. Now, I'm not going to take
I don't
anything
know.
away from him riding the elephant and then beating up everybody on
I mean,
there.
Scooby-Doo's
Still
down
only
it.
counts as 1.
Is that
But like, yeah, like those were cool
Dude, that was
moments.
actually really great.
Those were cool moments, but I think I still felt like that. I was waiting for the height of that first one. That's why the other 2 sort of let me down.
Wait, so Aaron, are you saying when Legolas went on the shield and he slid down the stairs and he shot like 3 orcs?
when he Scooby Dooed
wasn't cool?
or not Scooby Dooed,
So
Flintstones it
I think-
down the
yeah.
Brontosaurus?
I think Aaron is completely correct in what he's describing. I think he's forgetting the Battle of Helm's Deep on how they each showed, like, Gimli got thrown across that little causeway there to knock everyone off that little bridge
over
on there.
over the bridge.
Legolas,
yeah.
like she was saying, sliding down the shield and everything. Aragorn, who like was on the wall when it got
sorry.
blown up, and then, I mean, just I agree that the scene you're describing in the first one was badass,
So,
but I
basically-
think the entire thing about the Helm's Deep battle was just blows that out of the water. And I think you and I need to watch that, my friend.
So- I don't know. I can see it from Aaron's point of view. So basically, the first battle in like the first movie, that was like the first like actual fight you really see, right?
and I think
Where
that's why
everyone's
he's
engaged.
stoked on it, because he's just like,
Yeah,
finally.
but
like,
also,
Yeah, because there was 2 hours of
also it's-
boringness.
what about
No,
on
no, no,
Weathertop?
Everything was boring up until that fight.
Aragorn fought.
No, it wasn't.
Aragorn fought the
Everything
Nazgul on the Weathertop.
was boring until
Okay,
you
wait.
get to that part with the fight.
talking
No, it
about
wasn't.
just 1 second.
I don't think
4
It's all
people.
talking.
4 people. I thought he was dead there. Like when I saw this for the first time, I was like, "This is the sacrifice."
You
scene.
forget he's 150 years old in here. He's got
No,
the-
I like remember I walked into.
He's 150 years old there?
I think he lives,
Yeah,
he lives
he's-
to be like 200 or something.
But like remember, I
He's
didn't.
A
a
human?
special race.
I didn't.
No, he's not human. He's not human.
When did they explain that shit?
You gotta read.
He's a
And
ranger.
the-
The Rangers live.
You gotta read the books.
Okay. See, that's what makes it a terrible movie. They don't explain anything. Why do you think the World of Warcraft movie didn't do as hot as a bunch of people? Like, it's beautiful as fuck, right? The World of Warcraft movie.
Not enough
You're,
Griffins.
you're comparing a
Just-
2-hour
just-
movie to 3
just-
10,
no,
like,
no,
4-hour movies.
But the reason that movie didn't do so hot is because they left a lot of the back lore out. It's only like for people that played the games and know the lore, they understand that movie better than somebody who hasn't, correct?
I'm thinking through all 3 of the films, and they did mention it that the Rangers live amongst the
what
trained
film
by
did
the elves.
what film did they
Okay,
mention
wait.
that in?
I can mention it. I know. I
The
know.
second
Okay, go
second
ahead.
film?
Go ahead, Rachel.
So, what is it? It's in this. It is in the second one. I don't know. When they're on the camp, it's all like Rohan. They're in the camp and they're about to do the big, huge battle in the third movie, right? Eowyn's talking to Theon, or
Theon.
Is it Theon?
Greyjoy.
Her uncle.
Theoden.
Does he also
Theoden,
not have a
sorry.
penis?
They don't cut penises
Terrible.
off.
Theoden, and Theoden's talking about how Aragorn used to fight back in the day when he was a small child and all that stuff, and she starts asking about it, and he explains it to her.
Okay, when a small child though, that can just be like literally like 20 years ago.
No, Theoden's
depending on
like an
how
old
old-
man. Theoden's like
did
60
you watch-
years old, and he's talking about
you-
a battle
Okay, but
when
as
he
a
was 8,
viewer-
and
Did you watch
Aragorn
The
was a
Hobbits?
big, huge.
As a viewer, I didn't know any of
Did
this.
you watch The Hobbits?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they explain it in the movie.
In all three Hobbits, at the very end of the third Hobbit, Thranduil,
You're just throwing out random names of people
Legolas,
that.
Legolas's dad says, "Hey,
Which one is he? Is he the?
He's the guy from The Matrix, right?
Vendetta guy.
This guy from the Matrix, right?
Matrix?
Legolas's dad, the guy who was the king of Mirkwood, the one who,
Again.
the one
and-
who threw him in the cells, the one who threw the dwarves in the cells."
I've never seen The Hobbit, so you.
I'm talking to him. Hey,
I know, no, I'm talking to Steven. That's what I'm saying.
you remember Legolas and his dad? How do you
Again,
not remember his dad?
I had me watch these movies before we did this.
Okay, well, I'm going to throw this. There was an elf king in the first, second, and third one. It was the same character,
I'm
same
gonna
elf.
assume it's
The one who was on the big.
Smith from Matrix.
He was a Rowan. It's from Guardians of the Galaxy. He was a Rodin.
Ronan?
Ronan. Sorry,
The
Ronan.
accuser, yes.
Same actor. But
Oh,
so
okay,
at the very
that's-
end of the third movie, when it's
the
all said
Underworld
and
guy.
done, his dad says, "Hey, you should go find this ranger. His name is Aragorn." This Hobbits take place 60 years before the Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
So that tells you how old
Well,
Aragorn.
here's
So I would
no,
have
no,
to have
his-
got through the
his-
original trilogy.
you would have had to watch
had
all 6 movies. Yeah,
watch
that you did. But that's
fucking
fine.
Hobbit
So
just to
No, they
understand
actually
a piece
say-
that I didn't.
Rachel says that it was described in the third one, right? And Larissa in the back is saying that it was described in the second one.
Well, it was either in the beginning of the third one or in the very end of the second one. It was
the
right
very
before
end of
he
the
went to
second
the
one.
very end was right before he went and got the Ghost Army.
Oh, right before he got the ghost arm.
Which is another thing that just randomly happens.
It wasn't random.
Go ahead.
When they stop and they eat the soup, and
Eat the
that
soup.
chick that like hella crush on him hella hard.
A-
That's when the
Eowyn.
conversation comes up.
Is that
Uh,
Aerosmith's
She
daughter?
says that you're
No,
one of
that's,
the
Do a Capri, do a decimal, do a
what do they call them?
The Duodyne.
The
duodyne. Do duodyne? The do or dies.
That's
So
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Was that conversation between Eowyn and Theoden, and Eowyn goes and talks to Aragorn, and he's like, "Yeah, Theoden has a really good memory for being such a small child." And then she's like, "What? That must make you 150 years old," and then or 80, and then he keeps saying older, and yeah.
good lord.
Was this in the extended editions?
No.
Ooh, so in the regular ones.
So then
you
it
were-
wasn't
you were,
as
you were probably
intriguing.
you were probably tuned out by
I was
then.
probably looking at my phone
Yeah, you were
because
probably
it's just,
tuned out by then.
Again, I don't understand how you could say that you don't like a film that you weren't paying attention to, or like I was tuned out. I wasn't
Thank
watching
you.
it.
Thank you, Adam.
Wow.
You were
So this
watching-
film came out, right?
Yes.
I
watched
was
all three
excited
in
to see it.
theaters.
I was excited to see it. I missed the first one in theaters. That I will admit. I didn't get to see it.
I didn't
on
see
my-
any of them.
My
in
parents
theaters.
did, and they walked out of it.
on my birthday for all three.
Good lord.
So I did go watch. I think
My friend fell
the
asleep.
second one or the third. I saw one of them, and every time I go to watch these movies, I'm like, "What the fuck is happening?" Because it doesn't. As a story to me, it just didn't make sense because there was a lot of stuff that was just missing, and then they expect you to know.
I feel like it's like
And
Game
then-
of Thrones.
And then
has the
they
same.
talk about the characters, and then they like random names, and they like you shot off a bunch of information at me, and I didn't retain any
And
of
I've
it
seen the same
because it's
movies as
just
you have.
yeah. But see,
But you read the books too.
you've
though,
read the
right?
books and stuff, right? You
I've
have the
read the
I read the
knowledge of
books
it.
after.
Yeah, I didn't read anything before I watched them.
So
Yeah, I couldn't.
Here's
it's just-
here's why I
movie
fell
was
off
trash for me.
the second and third one. I think when
That's
they
it started
got
getting the most interesting. I'm
when they
surprised you guys would fall off after that.
because when they moved more into the world of men, I fell off.
But that's
I,
when like the action started. and
I
all
know,
that kind of
but
stuff,
like
and
I
that's-
didn't care about guys fighting. Like I think I would enjoy The Hobbit because when I watched that
And this is the same person who 5 minutes ago said that was the first action in the movie. So that's what.
no. But like it was action between Uruk-hai and the Fellowship. Like it wasn't human type of things. Like I said, I think I watched a clip from The Hobbit.
The black men fought the white men. Got it. That's
when
right.
I watched the clip from The Hobbit, that was the dwarfs versus the elves or whatever. And the dwarfs were riding like the ram, and that was dope to me. And then like seeing all the elves shooting the arrows, and then how the dwarfs combat that, like that's freaking sick with the little twirly. Yeah, it was sick. Like that's that high fantasy stuff that I was expecting to see.
And then you just saw men fighting.
Bunch of,
You're a Batman fan, and you just like, and you didn't like when the men were fighting.
It's a guy in a bat suit that jumps from roof to roof fighting a cavalcade of weird looking things, a crocodile, a freaking clown, a penguin. When I saw the first Lord of the Rings, it was a whole bunch of high fantasy stuff. They went to the woods and saw the elf queen. They had all the little different races. You saw them fighting Uruguay or whatever. You saw a whole bunch of stuff. But when they started moving more and more into the world of man, it was just like, okay, where's all the high fantasy stuff? They shortened it down. And I was just like, I'm here to see some D&D stuff. Not
you're here to see some action, some fighting.
It wasn't even about the action. It was about more of it was about more seeing stuff like that. Like push all that to the forefront.
The ends came in part 2, yeah.
It's kind of why the kind of small gripe I have with Game of Thrones, and it's a very small gripe, because there's a big lore of like magic, whole bunch of dragons.
You guys know who Gandalf is? Have you guys ever heard of him?
But he's gone. Like in the first one, you get him. What? You get a fight between him and the Balrog.
And then he comes back in the second one. Weird.
But he doesn't come back in like a
big old. That felt like to me.
They
like
showed that whole battle with the Balrog. Like what?
We shouldn't have killed this character.
In
Let's bring him back.
First one, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No. They should the fight in the first one was not a fight in the first one. In the second one,
the fall basically,
where they actually fought. You actually see them fight. The first one was like crack a whip.
No, that's a fight.
The first one, you see a crack of a whip and a barrier, and he falls, and then he pulls him down. That's not a fight. And the second one, you see them fighting in the air, and then they're fighting on the ground. Like that's not what you're looking for.
The amount of it compared to the other thing that I said.
Arguing with heathens.
The amount of it compared to what I said I didn't care for, which was more of the human world, which they did in part 2, because it was like that was with that king, Mad King, right? The Mad King, or the Sleeping King, or whatever. Whatever. You know what I mean? But like those were like the bigger antagonists for that one movie, and I was just like, I don't care about that stuff. Like let me see some more.
Well,
like Saruman. Yeah, you're right. I forgot about Saruman. My bad.
I did forget about him in that movie.
Ridiculous. The one who was perpetrating the entire fight behind Helm's Deep.
Forgettable. And so that's why I was like, and I still to this day.
Christopher Lee.
I learned something a long time ago, and it was you can never argue a point if you never are willing to see the other side.
I am willing to see the other side.
I am willing to.
I feel like neither one of you.
I've asked several times, like, if you want me to see these movies, I'll sit down and watch them. The extended versions. I've never seen the extended versions.
You will die.
I do feel like
watch them.
I feel like
them all on DVD, Steven. Let's watch them.
I've said that to you. I've told you this before.
I want you to know that my brother and I, for Christmas, watch like all 3 Hobbit movies, all 3 Lord of the Rings movies. Not all 6 of them, but we'll watch
that's
like
tradition. They're not going
to but
knock you.
We also sit there for 10 hours, 11 hours, and just watch them. Just like these are good ass movies.
So okay. So besides the battle of Helm's Deep, which is part 2, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So
I already got to wait a whole movie to see.
But what
big battle?
What about part 2 that makes it better than part 1?
I feel like they're all really good. I don't know. I like them all the same. I can't say one's better
because
than the other.
I can go through and tell you why.
About why the battle in the second
one?
No.
I said take the battle out because that's clearly the highlight of it, right? For you.
So, and I think what they did,
I enjoyed it.
You have a beginning, a middle, and an end when you come to the trilogies, right? The beginning is explaining who everyone is, what's going on, what the mission is, all that stuff. The second one is like, okay, we're in full blown war. This is what's going on, and then the third one is the conclusion, kind of wrapping it up. So I like the second one because it's you're in the middle of it. You don't have to explain anything. You're not wrapping anything up. It's just here's what's happening. And the Battle of Helm's Deep, like I was arguing that whole scene, everything about it was perfection in my mind. The way they filmed it, all the things that were happening during it, Gandalf showing up to saving everyone's ass, like that was, I think it was just really well done. But the movie itself, like where you're bringing Saruman, like Saruman's like full blown, I'm on Sauron's side. I'm a bad guy. I'm a full blown bad guy. This is what I'm doing to sway the battle into this side, to say like I and they don't, again, you're right. They don't explain They don't explain a whole lot of stuff. They don't do a whole lot of explanation on the lore and stuff like that. But
yeah, so how are you like? It's hard to follow.
Right. From my knowledge, Saruman was trying to become not an equal of Sauron. He was trying to be like the big bad. He wanted to be the big bad.
This is Gandalf's friend,
the one that he went to and said, "Hey, let's do some shit." And he said, "No, go fuck yourself. I'm on this side now."
Yeah.
So that's when, like you guys saying, like, the humans and all that kind of stuff. Like the second one was humans against Uruk-hai, humans against orcs kind of thing. That's what that whole battle was about. The elves came and showed up and, sacrificed their ass. They did a lot of stuff
at the ending, right?
Yeah.
With the
But then you have the whole fight with the wargs with the orcs on the wargs in the middle of the field, and that's where Aragorn gets knocked down, all kind of stuff like that. Like I just think that the story has a lot of, and I do kind of like the story in Hobbit better, even in the films, even though they kind of butchered it away from the books. But I think the story is enough to keep you compelled. There's a lot of names. There's a lot of fantastical things going on. So there's a lot happening. So I understand it's like, oh my God, I don't know what's going on over here. I don't know what's going on over here. But there's just so much that if you rewatch it, maybe once, maybe twice, maybe a couple times, to kind of just figure out what's all happening, I think you appreciate it a lot more, because then you do understand what's going on. And then you can say, okay, now I understand what they're doing over here. I can figure out what they're doing over here. Now I see what they were trying to accomplish. You can appreciate it a lot more. I didn't read into it. I didn't look everything up until after it. And that's what made me, again, appreciate it much more, because then I knew all the intricacies. I knew all the stuff they were talking about. So maybe that's why I might enjoy it more. But I saw the first movie and I needed to watch the second one.
So out of the three, what is your number 2 is your favorite?
I would say I'd probably have to say the third one's probably my favorite, actually. I'm just defending the second.
Isn't that the worst one in the series, according to
No.
a lot? I thought a lot of people didn't like.
According to IMDb,
I want to say the first one's probably the most.
Ooh, no,
the least received
can't
one?
be. That can't be.
I could have swore the third one was the one that a lot of people didn't like, because I thought
find
the
I
I
didn't
thought
hear
how they
anything
ended
really
was
bad.
stupid or something like that.
Yeah, the
people
first
didn't
one-
agree with it.
The first one definitely can't be. The first one has a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. First of all, and
And it just ends, doesn't it? Like I don't remember
first
it,
one?
like I remember just like kind of like they're running and then it fades.
the first one irritated me because I didn't know it was going to be a trilogy, and I was upset that like
So first
It didn't
one's
have an actual
91%. Second one is 87%.
third one has to be like an 80%.
Return of the King is 93%.
Really,
What's number 2? What was it?
87%.
87, the low point.
Number 2 was the low point.
Yeah.
If you want to call
The best fight scene-
87% a low point. But
No,
yes,
but
well,
I
of the
don't
three.
know.
So
Yes.
the reason why you so my reason, of course, and I've said it different ways, but like a big thing why I like the first Lord of the Fellowship of the Rings over all of them is because it felt like an actual like quest. Like this was an actual D&D quest. The other ones felt kind of like side quests, even though they were very
Well,
important.
because then it broke off. The quest broke
yeah,
off.
it broke off. Yeah, but see,
Which I hated that.
well, see, that's what I was talking about.
hated
That's
that.
why I was
I
talking
would
about that.
rather had 3 movies with all of them together.
with
the whole
that,
time.
yeah, with like the Fellowship, and then you seeing how they overcome each thing.
Each
What I
thing.
understand,
It's
it
like,
didn't
why
go that
even go
way.
through the whole?
Did you guys watch
first
Game
part?
of Thrones? Would you have approved if they were all together the entire time?
Who?
Who? What are you talking about?
I'm just saying it.
No,
Didn't you? Game of Thrones, they went
the
story.
purpose of the first one was bringing a fellowship of people together
With one mission.
yes, with one mission. But then they broke apart, and that
and
was it,
still
right?
all came together for that one mission, right?
No,
Yeah. So
No, because Frodo and
the
Wood
entire
were
time,
separate.
Frodo and Sam are going to.
no, I'm talking about all of them. Like I'm talking about the other two, the other two
And
hobbits.
They were just kind of there.
I think you're missing. They were an integral part of the story.
Dropping crap down the wells in the mines of Moria to
Helped
wake
kill-
everybody up. And that's
Helped
what
kill the
they're
Witch
doing.
King of Angmar. Gonna miss that part a little bit.
Which King of Elmar? What was
Witch King, the one that
I thought that
Eowyn
was
killed on the
the-
field.
The
but
woman?
it wasn't the 2.
She had
The two hobbits?
Mary. I think she had Mary with. Is Rachel still there?
I kept trying to say stuff earlier, so I just kind of.
You-
like, just if I can, just one. I mean,
I don't know if it was.
Yeah, that was me earlier. I was trying to make a whole bunch of points, and I kept getting talked over. So I was like, I'm gonna wait.
I didn't
Until
hear it
the lull.
once.
I'm not. I know you're on my side. If you would have said
let
something,
me
I
ask
didn't
you,
hear it at all.
Rachel. What is your
Yeah.
favorite out of the 3? Incorrect. It's the first one.
That's terrible.
No.
Go ahead,
I'm thinking because I really do love all of them. Like,
And
but if I really had to pick one, I would actually pick the first one.
there it is.
And so my reasons are for this.
Go ahead. Your reasons are.
I'm not saying it's wrong.
Because I love hobbits. I love the Shire, so it's really cool seeing it all set up. It's all peaceful, and then just like shit happens. Everything goes to shit. Chaos happens. But basically, that big huge battle that you're talking about, Aaron, that's actually one of my favorite battles too. When they're fighting the Raierae, because that's the first battle you really see, and you're like, okay, cool. These are all the main characters. They're fine. They're gonna be okay. No, Frodo and Sam, they go off on their own. The other two hobbits get kidnapped.
Sean Bean always
Gandalf
dies.
is already dead. Boromir dies. All
Sean
hope
Bean
is
can't
lost.
live for anything.
He lives in something.
And that's, I mean,
He dies in
that was
everything.
a good bit of storytelling. You seeing it breaking apart, but it's like they're all ready to go do this one mission. Frodo says, you know what? It would be a lot easier if I just went by myself. And then Sam chases after him, and Sam says, no, you can't do this by yourself. Let me help you. And Frodo says, you know what? I will let you come help me, but I don't think it's best if we all go as a party, because it's going to be so much harder if we're all traveling as one big company. And it makes sense when the go on, Aaron.
It just felt like if we were playing a video game that was co-op, and then all of a sudden they were like, you two players go play a different game. And then the rest of us will go and continue the
It's the
storyline.
dumbest thing in the world.
They were a company. They were traveling. Saruman's crows found them.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to go over the mountain, stopped them. They tried to go through Moria. Shit happened. Like at the end of the day, it was just so much easier if he was just like, you know what, I should travel by myself. It'll be a lot simpler.
But it didn't even seem like it was simpler by himself.
I think it was.
He still went through.
like he needed.
I think
people
if there was
the
a
whole
bigger part,
time.
I needed people.
He needed people to help him.
So
No, not kind of yes and no. I know hobbits are really sneaky. They're like known to be like, smugglers, basically the ones that hide out and they don't get noticed. Everybody just kind of ignores them.
they needed Gollum because Gollum knows the entire planet like on the back of his fist.
Well, I mean, he's like 500 years old.
Yeah,
so.
and then Faramir had the opportunity to take the ring, didn't. Okay, I mean, help, cool. Well,
The better brother.
He let him go. Yeah, seriously.
Is that Boromir? That's
Yeah.
Boromir's
Boromir's brother. Yeah.
Yeah, and he marries
300.
Eowyn.
Because his dad's a piece of shit.
And see, like that, me not knowing anything about the lore or anything like that, when I saw that character get introduced in part 2, right? Boromir's brother,
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
Yes.
did they feel like they messed up by killing Boromir in the first one,
Right.
so they needed to bring
Right.
some replacement?
That's
'Cause
how I
it
felt
seems
with
the same
Gandalf.
It seems like the same thing they did with friggin' One Piece when they killed Luffy's brother, and then they brought in Luffy's other brother that has the exact same powers.
He didn't have,
did I
like-
spoil that for you,
Spoilers.
Rachel? Sorry, Rachel.
That was good. Okay.
He didn't have like this giant purpose in the story, but he fit in a lot of places. Like he ended up with Eowyn because Aragorn's like, I'm sorry, I'm all about the elf life.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, he was, I don't know. I could see where you're coming from, but they didn't make him like the new grandiose.
Yeah, no, they didn't make him like a. Yeah, I understand they didn't make him like this big focal point, but it just still felt like we thought we messed up. So
Well, he was the new
put it on,
the new savior of Osgiliath, so I could go from there.
these
But
names, man, and like the Mines of Moria in the first one, like
do you know the cities in Game of Thrones? Do you know what Dorne is? You know what King's Landing is and all that stuff?
Dorne is a country, yeah, and I know King's Landing because that's where they're always
Because they
there.
mention these cities and stuff.
King's
Yeah,
Landing
but
is
not
not
because
there.
they just mentioned, but they're like
get
that's
down there.
that's just where they are.
I apologize that I know the names and
I don't know the name.
movies
Like, what's the name of? I know Winterfell, King's Landing, Dorne.
what about the Erie?
And not until you just said it.
You didn't know the name of it, but you know what the Erie is.
Like if you had been like, if you had named or told me what's the army that resides in the area, I would have been like, or like if you had said the name and then been like, where do they reside? I would have been like, I
said Moondor. You'd have
Stockton. Like I don't know.
been, make the bad man fly.
No, but like Lord of the Rings to me, it had a mixture of a whole bunch of stuff that just made it seem.
We've talked about this before about how these writers create this intense, like so much information in this universe. How George
Yeah.
Lucas can do it, how Tolkien can do it, and all this stuff. Just like the languages he creates, the names, the towns, all this kind of stuff. And it's so much.
That's good.
Yeah, it's so much to enjoy.
And I wonder if like are there any books after Lord of the Rings?
Not after, but they have a prequel one to all of it, and it's called the Silmarillion.
Silmarillion, I think.
So yeah, you
No,
told me.
I thought that was like his.
That's his son will
his
not let that
guide
go.
to everything in that universe. Like it's
As far as I'm
It's pretty
concerned,
much
the
everything.
Silmarillion is about Melkor. That's Sauron's the dude who taught the baddie before Sauron.
Yeah.
That's more fantastical too, right?
It's
Like,
it's
Yeah,
I
fantastic.
thought that was the
more
guy above
fantasy.
Sauron.
This was supposed to be like thousands.
Because
of years ago,
Sauron's
so-
not even the big bad. He's like
Yeah, he's before him.
he's like an underling of somebody else.
Well, in Lord of the Rings,
Mm-hmm.
the only bad guy is Sauron.
I know, but the Silmarillion
Is about
is
Melkor,
somebody else.
who is
But that
a really
dude's,
big fucking bad
like
guy.
what's his name still serves him.
Sauron?
Yeah.
He's the one who turned, because Sauron was an elf. He's the one who turned Sauron into a fallen or whatever the hell they call it.
Yeah, but that other guy's not gone.
Melkor?
I thought he was still like, or they were still in the lore somewhere.
He was teased
Like
at the
that-
end of part 3 when
Yeah, it was like the whole.
he was in Thanos' chair and he smiled and
Basically, he's fucking like that was the Thanos, but his books he never finished everything.
so what I'm hearing though is there's no more lore after that's
You are
published.
up to date.
There's
Okay, that's
kind of. There's like, so in the Lord of the Rings books, there's a whole bunch of footnotes that kind of like wrap up like later things, like explains what happens to Arwen
with
and
Sam and all
Aragorn
that kind of stuff,
afterwards,
yeah.
and then Legolas and Gimli, like what happened to them after Aragorn dies. Little things like that.
Yeah, nothing.
So just like, but like little stuff like
it
they had
ties
with
everything up. That's
Yeah.
before the play for Harry Potter, like little stuff like they had in those books, right? Like what
Yeah,
happens
kind
to
of, yeah.
Ron and all that, Okay, so
Stuff
after
that's just like, to me, it always just seems like fan fiction, even though it's part of
yeah,
Fan
part
service.
of
I can
the
see-
universe. It's just like if it's not in those core movies,
mean,
it's not.
It's in the book still.
but how
Like it's in the Pikachu book.
who once the son has passed away,
Still in their family. I'm pretty sure.
like is there a big family? Like who? I'm like who
They-
could write next?
Nobody
Mm.
can probably.
Oh,
write
I mean,
next. They probably
honestly,
won't
like
write
they
anything.
kind of like they ended it after Lord of the Rings. Like there's no more like magic. Like everybody that was like there, like the wizards, the elves, and everything, they all went back to the Great Havens. It's just
They all
the
left.
world of
It's
man.
the time of man now. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's basically just
and that's what they've
our
been
world
saying
now.
the entire time. It was
But you
like-
can. But you're a writer. You can always create a conflict that would have somebody
You could.
from
It's
the
like-
world of
it's like-
man go to these different places
It's like
where all
Arthur
these people
Conan
are.
Doyle.
I
when he
mean, there's
wrote-
still hobbits in the universe, right?
I mean,
dwarves.
yeah,
They're
but
not
they,
magical
like-
at all. They're just
But now they know about hobbits, and they probably just started like
But
moving
that-
out and going to the world of man, and they started inbreeding. So now they're like,
well, because
they're humans.
notice how they didn't take all the hobbits with them. They only took Frodo and Bilbo.
Yeah, because I took it
Yeah.
as they died
Well, it was because they were more.
and they were going to heaven.
They more had touched
Because-
kind of the other side. They
Whoa,
were more.
whoa.
What's his name is heaven or an angel, because that was the thing. The Balrog's supposed to be like a devil, and
Gandalf
the
leveled up,
wizards
yeah.
and all them stuffs are supposed to
Yeah.
be like angels.
Bit of a stretch.
Well,
Yeah,
so
the wizards are angels. The
Gandalf-
eagles are angels.
Gandalf is the
And the
exact
dwarves
same.
are Jews, because that's
Wow.
how they wrote
That-
them.
that's apparently the
Terrible.
Gandalf is the exact same kind of spirit that the Balrog was that he fought.
Mm-hmm.
They're both of the same. The Maya. It's just they're supposed to come to Earth to kind of be there to kind of lead you in a direction, but not like. Kind
So
of,
you're useless.
they're there as
No.
they're guides. They're there as guides.
You fucking
Yeah,
useless.
they're to
And
help.
Gandalf kind
Guide
of
the world of man.
pushed. Gandalf was the only one who's.
There's a giant monster
stuck
in
to
my
his
face.
mission.
I don't need somebody to be like, "Hey, just run." I fucking know. I'm booking.
First of all, fly.
oh, fly.
Gandalf was the only one who stuck with his mission. So when he passed away, he was the only one who did everything right. So that's why they said, okay, we're going to give you the power of what Saruman got, because Saruman obviously did his own fucking thing. So that's where that leveling up, and then that's where that's all came from. But notice how he never did anything like he never
At
went.
all.
No, well, because his job, he's not supposed to just go like destroy everyone in one blow. That's not what he's not. He's not there to do that.
Wait, he has that power to just destroy everybody
He,
in one blow.
the Maya, the wizards are like the strongest, some of the strongest beings on the entire planet, but they don't do it because they're not supposed
There's
to.
also giant birds, Stephen.
Yeah, it's so-
story,
Eagles are angels, basically. Like
everybody's
they came from
angels.
the Great
They're all.
Havens.
If the Silmarillion gets
it's never gonna
turned
get,
into a movie,
you
which
can-
as far as I'm concerned, it might not be, but
and not, they included parts of it into like The Hobbit. They're not going to.
yeah, if they go on Tom Bombadil, I'm all about it. But if they go about like the Eagles actually fought in the wars with them like hardcore. If they show that stuff, then you guys would be like, okay. dope.
Well, they fought in the War of Four Armies and the end of The Hobbit.
Yeah, they and that was
Summon
that's
the
their way
eagle.
of saying like, okay, let's do more
Let
stuff.
Frodo ride him like he's Falcor.
But the Eagles went from being
No,
a
no, no,
taxi
no,
service.
that would not work,
Jump-
Steven. Don't even get me there.
Turn him over on the fucking mountain.
That
drops
would
the
100%
ring.
work because I heard the excuse of, oh well, if they flew, it would have been easier for what's the name to see them or whatever coming from a distance or whatever. But I'm like, that's when you get a flock of them, and you just
A flock of seagulls.
you confuse. You confuse.
They weren't going to sacrifice like all of them just for that.
You know the
Or
the
just let
Nazguls have
evil
those
take
dragons that they
over?
rode, right?
What the what? That, hold on, wait. The what that they rode?
They got it done.
The Nazguls had like those dragons that they rode.
The fell beasts.
Yeah, the fell beasts. Like they would have wrecked their shit.
Yeah.
Oh, the
like-
birds can't beat the fell beasts.
The dragons?
No, have you seen them? Hell no.
I mean, you
The
can't
one
have
that
riders with
wait,
weapons.
the one that the chick cut her head off.
Remember when? Yeah.
If she can cut the head off, the bird can't do that.
What the
bird
hell would a
doesn't
bird
have
cut you?
multiple
head
components.
a
off
bird
with?
can't
It's
have a
hard.
rider on it.
Exactly. Get the riders on there.
I'm sorry. Birds against dragons. Birds win. I apologize, guys.
I'm just saying. I played Warcraft 1.
Those griffins were beasting.
And you had a
and
door
two.
through it, and
I'm just saying they can do it. They can
Ridiculous.
do it. Anyway, we'll cut this all the way off because it was only a 30-minute little. I just wanted to talk about Lord of the Rings for a little bit.
oh, that was only Lord of the Rings. We still got Hobbit to go next.
I've never seen the movie, so I mean, that's.
I'd rather shoot myself.
We should do a podcast about
Suicide.
Neon Maniacs, but
We stray further
a
from
whole nother
God
one.
every day.
terrible. But this thing isn't charging up my battery, so I'm going to say that this tangent of the rings is over, everybody. So
Thank God.
later, you want to say anything, Rachel?
Steven's wrong about everything that he just said. Lord of the Rings is amazing.
You mean
Hobbit's
overrated?
okay.
Yeah, it is overrated.
It's incredible. It's a masterpiece.
All right.
Okay,
All right.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, that's it.
Wow.
That's it.
Goodbye,
Whatever.
everybody.
Well,
Terrible.
Yep, this is obviously a very biased show that we're on right
Wow.
now.
We're in it.